Well, good morning everyone, and welcome back to Crowley House Flower Farm. Today I am going to be spraying our roses. So we have a little bit of change in our weather. We've had this beautiful, nice days where it's just like upper 60s, low 70s, light breeze, just beautiful for gardening and getting the beds prepped and everything like that. So we've been working really hard on getting all the flower beds prepped that we're going to be using this year. This week I'm also going to show you kind of what we started on as far as our little nursery that we're starting here on our farm. So I will go into more details on those as we get going. But first of all, we are going to spray roses, and partly because that weather is changing, the rose foliage is just at this beautiful prime. It's fully leafed out. Little buds are coming on. It looks so great. But we have this, some rain coming in for the next 5 days. And so that's when you can start getting some, leaf spot for us, which is the black spot. You can also, in higher humidity areas, you can get the powdery mildew. So it's always a good time to kind of be thinking about the weather, what you are doing, and when you want to spray. Now, spraying for us is best early in the morning. So just as the sun is coming up, I try and get my backpack sprayer on. This morning I'm running a little bit late, but the time to do that is, sunrise. Sometimes I like to just let the dew kind of go away off the leaves, I guess, first. Have my cup of coffee, enjoy the morning, and then get my backpack sprayer on and go, put in earbuds, go do my thing, because we have a lot of roses here on the farm. For your garden, obviously, it's going to be a little bit different, but, it's all in the same context, I guess. If you have one rose versus, 700, I think. Anyways, so the best time to do it is early morning, and I would say any time before 11. So right now it's around 10 o'clock, which I'm running really late, so I probably won't get all of it done. But we have a nice overcast day. It's, very low winds. That's the other thing I'm always watching is like wind. Is it, anything over 11 miles an hour, we just don't want to spray at all. So we want that very calm wind. And you're also going to want to wear something, even if you are using organic, long sleeves, a lot of times eyeglasses, especially when you're mixing, doing all of the precautions, just so it doesn't ruin your day later. So today what we're using is this is just a copper fungicide. The other thing I'm going to be spraying today as well is an Asian pear. So it's already done its thing. There's no blooms left on it, but the Asian pear does get a little bit of a black spot on it. And so I like to use a little bit of this. So I'm going to be using that today on our little Asian pear and just do as many roses as I can until my time runs out. And then you can also, later in the evening, go ahead, but we're going to have some wind later this evening, so I'm not sure if that's going to work. All right. So anytime I'm using a product, I always have a little card thing. It's going to go through. It just kind of tells you a little bit about like the product. I like to know, like if I get it splashed in my eyes, here's directions on how to rinse your eye, if you need to go to the emergency room, that kind of thing. So I kind of like to know. I know this sounds really dumb, but it's actually, first aid. I just like to know every single time I refresh my memory on what needs to happen in case of emergency. So in the little pamphlet, you can see it's got, this particular fungicide is good for fruits and nuts. So it goes through application for each one, which is kind of cool. There's a lot. Olive trees, which we do have olives, walnuts, pecans, and then it goes into vegetables like fruits and things like that. Tomatoes, spinach, anything that you need to spray that might need a little bit of help. Even goes into like fir trees, all the things that it can be used for. And then in the very back, this is what I'm looking for, is the list of all the flowers and trees and things like that we would use that would need like a little fungicide use. And so on here is roses right there, and it's good for black spot and powdery mildew. I know that this is exactly what I need for today's application because our roses are looking beautiful, and after this rain, if I don't spray, it's going to be pathetic. It's going to look horrible. And I need the foliage for a cut flower farmer. You need the foliage to look really good and the flower because we leave some of the foliage on. So I'm gonna mix up and get spraying, and because again, like I said, I don't have a lot of time to get this job done. And if I have time at the end of this video, I am going to take you through and show you some of the beautiful ranunculus that are blooming right now. It's quite the show, so I thought that'd be kind of fun to show you. And the sweet peas, it just started. Okay, let's mix up. So on my little pamphlet, I read that for ornamentals, we want to use 2 teaspoons per gallon of water. So what I like to do, I have this is a brand new jug, and so I'm going to write that right on here, and that just helps me later know that that is what it is. So I just use a Sharpie, make sure it's clean, and my 1 teaspoon per gal. So I know, and it makes it way easier to measure out in the future. So any chemical, you want to give it a good shake before you get going. One thing I've learned in your sprayer, you want to make sure that you have a fine mist, that it's going at a rate that it's going to cover those leaves really nicely. And I'm going to eyeball out 1 teaspoon. Okay, there's 5 dollops. So I'm just pumping it up to get enough pressure in here. I know you can get some hand crank ones that are just like little tiny, but then this is where you regulate the amount of spray that's coming out. So like I said, you want kind of a fine mist that's gonna cover the whole leaf. You don't want it super blotchy, otherwise it's not gonna do a very good job for that fungicide. Okay, I'm off and going. It smells like vinegar. So I'm going to start with all the roses that are just in the landscape, and then I'm going to move on out to the production roses. So far it's going really, really well. The sun kind of popped out, so I'll have to see how far I can get on this project. Oh dear. So as the sun is kind of peeking in and out of the clouds, moving through, I'm kind of going to some of the roses that are more tucked back into shade. It's starting there, and then as the sun comes out, it's a little bit of a dance today, moving back and forth, but it's working pretty well so far. Anyways, this is also a really good time to be looking at your roses and seeing if there's any disease issues or broken branches or anything like that with any of the spring heavy winds and rains or anything like that. If there is damage, to be looking at that. And the other thing I'm going to do today as well is I'm going to be adding a little bit of fertilizer, so just some rose stone to all the roses just before this heavy rain. Let that do its work with a little bit of compost, and that's my chore today. I can see some heavier clouds moving this way, so that's going to make my chore a lot easier today. So as I'm spraying along, I am going ahead and hitting all of our columbine. Sometimes we can get a little powdery mildew on that. And so I'm hitting the columbine as I pass by it, and also another application to our peonies. If you missed our video last week on peonies, that's kind of, one of the things we use is a fungicide about every 16 days. So we're getting close to that time, and since I have it mixed up, I'm just gonna hit them. So black spot on roses is one of the most serious diseases, and it's actually a fungus for any rose. So what it does is it diminishes the vigor of the rose. The black spot is caused by a fungus called Diplocarpon rosa, which infects the leaves, greatly reduces the vigor. And so you'll expect to see this like black little spot that goes all over the leaf, and then the leaf generally will kind of die off and fall down to the ground. And that's when it can re-affect the plant. plant. So you want to make sure that you pick up all the leaves underneath, keep the area really clean, and then spray with a fungicide like I'm doing today, which you want to just kind of keep on. If you're doing organic, you want to keep on with that fungicide, like I said, every, couple weeks is what I do. Or if we have a weather event like we have coming in. So this rose here is a monster, and it's called Alchemist. It's got this beautiful coloration of kind of a golden butter yellow, and it's absolutely stunning. We always call it dripping with gold because it has these long arms that kind of come down. But you can tell it is up against the house here, and it doesn't have as much airflow, and so dealing with blackspot is a lot harder if I don't stay on top of it. And also, this is an older variety, and so it just struggles a little bit more with disease. But when it's blooming, the black spot gets lost in its beauty. So this is an older Lynchfield angel, and she's beauty. Oh my gosh, look at those foliage. I feel like, people pay attention to the blooms a lot, but I feel really like you almost need to pay attention to the foliage just as much when you're gardening. But isn't that gorgeous? So all of them are looking just stunning right now. Look at the little heads coming. A lot of people will do disc budding just like we did with the peonies, and kind of pulling off some of these side ones so you get this beautiful show here. So this is just taking off little bits. So I believe this one is Munstead wood. It's a dark kind of burgundy rose colored rose, and it's got a just yummy center to it. But anyways, yeah, I'm coming through and disc budding some of these and just making sure everything looks okay, pulling off anything that's dead or broken, kind of going through and checking everything. But yeah, it's looking really good today. So the clouds have moved in, which is really good. And the reason we want kind of an overcast, cloudy day to spray is that sometimes your sprays can affect the leaves and cause them to become burnt or just kind of disfigured. And we don't want that. You saw those lush, beautiful leaves, and that's what we're looking for. That means a nice, healthy plant. And then to come along and spray something like a fungicide or something like that, that could potentially burn the plants. So we want to make sure we've got a nice breeze that's kind of drying them, but not too heavy of a breeze, a cloud cover or a cloudy day. And, so there's all these check boxes. So watching your weather is super important while trying to figure out what days are best to spray in your garden. So what I'm gonna do now, I just finished all the roses, and that was a big chore. So now I'm on to this Asian pear, which is beautiful. I love the shape of it. It kind of has that umbrella shape, and it just kind of naturally does that. And the fruit in the fall, I used to love it when the kids would go back to school. I would tell them, go out and pick a pear for your lunch. And they love doing it because it's this beautiful cross between an actual pear and an apple, and it's delicious. But it does get black spot, so it gets a little bit unsightly. So what I'm gonna do is go ahead and spray. I think one of the things when you're spraying a little bit heavier or higher up, to really have it nicely pumped and have some pressure behind your tank so that it gets that fine mist, and then just kind of know the direction of where the wind is coming from. So I'm definitely gonna have to get a ladder out to get up high. So I'm gonna go grab that and get started on getting a little bit higher up. You can tell already there's just a few leaves. This is notorious for black spot. Just a few leaves that are already starting to turn. So I'm just gonna go grab a ladder so that I can get up high and get this job checked off the list. When spraying any type of fruit tree or anything that's blooming like that, where, the pollinators are going to be out, the bees and that kind of thing, you definitely want to wait a couple of weeks after it's done flowering and doing its thing before you actually spray, even when you're using organic sprays. So we try here on our farm to grow and do and everything as naturally as possible. So using some sort of fungicide that is organic for the most part, sometimes you have to be a little careful with those things. Then also using, like for roses, some people ask me like, well, what do you use to keep bugs away and those kinds of things? So we're looking at like neem oil, and there's a few other things that you can use, but neem oil is generally because we get aphids and that's about it. We'll use that on it. And then also just, making sure that you go out, especially if you only have a few roses, but just to kind of go out in the evening or early morning and kind of get some of those Japanese beetles off and that kind of thing. So that's generally, those are the pressures that we get, is the beetles that will come occasionally. We don't get them very often, normally in the backfield. And if I do have a problem, then we'll use something stronger. But for the most part, we try and do our best with as much organic and natural products as we possibly can. So, and then also just getting out into your field, into your rose patch, into your, rose garden, whatever it is, and just looking at things and knowing that you have a problem before it actually gets out of hand. Like aphids can get out of hand so easily, and just using a little dish soap and some, neem oil or something like that will knock them right down. So I think the key is staying on top of things before they get out of hand. That is what I have found through many years of gardening, and has helped me 100%. And so sometimes even adding something on my phone that will, make it so that I remember this is when I need to do a chore.
Welcome to the greenhouse with me. It is disgusting weather out right now. We've been having like super nice summertime vibes, wearing shorts, sweltering in the yurt because it's like 1,000 degrees, and all of a sudden we have this big rainstorm, which I'm thankful for. It's only April. We should be having rain right now, right? But we have rain, and I don't want to work today. I'm going to work today, but I really don't want to. All I want to do is just cozy up with a book and maybe like a really nice warm drink, like tea, or maybe a coffee, hot chocolate, something, and just be a little cozy, forget about the world, listen to the rain moment. But I can't, because we got work to do. Because it is ranunculus season for us here, and these ranunculus are not going to pick themselves. But before I pick them, Beth wanted me to walk you through them and kind of give you a tour of what we're growing this year. We're definitely growing a lot less ranunculus than we usually do, which is fine. It's not a big deal. But these are new starts, so we just bought them this year, and they're looking fantastic. They're gorgeous, and I'm just gonna take you through what's going on. Okay, so this row, these are all oranges, and it's literally just called orange mix. So there's a whole bunch of different varieties of orange ranunculus in here. These beautiful guys are all of our reds. Gorgeous. We usually use the reds for things like our market bouquets. Not so much for weddings, but they are just lovely. Here, this is Clone Galette, and these are just the most scrumptious, light pink, marshmallowy ranunculus you've ever seen. These are a new variety for us, and we love them. We're just obsessed with the color and just how delicate they are. They're really just like this really warm cream pink. Just gorgeous. These are a peach variety, so there's like a lot of peaches, a lot of yellows, and a couple pinks in here. This is just a mix for us, which we love. This is probably what we use the most, especially for like weddings and stuff. Down here we have these really fun variegated pinks. They're not quite as open. Lots of fun pink shades. Really cool. Big heads, which we love. And these are the marshmallow mix. These are the big, creamy pinks. They look pretty similar actually to the clone Galette or whatever. But these I think are just like a slightly colder pink, and they have, I don't know, a little more varieties in them. Guys, our first sweet peas are coming on, and just look at that color. Man, it's like a beautiful, almost like a tan color. So cool. Like, wow. Love that. Okay, that's all of our ranunculus that we have growing in the greenhouse. And now that I showed you guys, I get to go pick them all for market. So wish me luck.
Well, the rains have definitely come, settled in, and I am so thankful that I took the time to actually spray all the roses. It was a big job, but I got it done, and today I am thankful for that. That's one of those things where I think in the garden sometimes you can feel like a job can be a little bit bigger in your head than it actually is, and then when you go do it, you know, it takes 15, 20 minutes, half hour kind of thing. And yesterday it took me, I think, a total of an hour and a half to spray everything. Ooh, it's cold. Yeah, we got winter back. Anyways, that being said, you know, I encourage you, just try and check some of those jobs off that are not the funnest. They're not the beautiful ones. They're not digging in the soil and cutting beautiful blooms like Riley was just doing. Oh my gosh, those ranunculus, you guys. I tell you, so beautiful this time of year. It is so, I just love walking into the greenhouse and just cutting through all those are just armloads and armloads of beauty. So anyways, we're going to bring you much more on flowers very soon. Everything is starting to bud up. Like I said, the roses, we even have some beautiful irises coming on, and you know, everything is just kind of starting to pop. So we're gonna get really busy here shortly. Okay guys, well, much success in all you do and grow, and we'll be seeing you shortly back here at Crowley House very soon. If you haven't yet, please like, subscribe, leave me a comment, let me know what you like to spray on your roses, and if you use a fungicide or, you know, any of the sprays that you like to keep your roses looking pristine like I do. So anyways, until next time, bye-bye.